What's this video about? This video is for Bitcoiners. It's written with respect to toxic maximalists. Well, it's a noble road. Some people prefer limited interactions with fiat-centered NPCs, non-player characters. This book aims for a toxic microdosing approach to enhance your freedom of speech and thought while increasing your chances of survival surrounded by NPC sludge people. Now, it's true the NPC would kill you and not care if that is what they are hypnotized and spellbound into doing. So this handbook works as a survival guide of sorts. While the threat is real, the NPC can also be redirected and reprogrammed with ease by the initiated. Bitcoin can serve as an organizing principle around which Bitcoiners can navigate their real lives with NPCs. So welcome, valiant Bitcoiner, dear peer, treasured compatriot, to a quest unlike any you've embarked upon. This isn't just a financial revolution, it's a crusade of consciousness. Your friends and family might seem like players in this grand game of life, but it's time to face the truth. Most are NPCs, ensnared by the fiat system's illusion. But fear not, this handbook is your guide. What this book isn't is a list of arguments. It's better to think of what's in here as spell casting, counterspells to work against the dark magic of fiat. What follows is a protocol to protect yourself and awaken NPCs to the magic of Bitcoin. Prepare to reprogram reality. In the end, none of us want to eat Z-bugs, but we also want to keep people from eating Z-bugs, or at least we don't want to have to see anyone eating Z-bugs. I accept there will be people who eat Z-bugs, but to win, Bitcoiners need fewer people to eat Z-bugs. Our NPC friends and family are really just mentally handicapped, and we should treat them that way. Would you get angry with a blind person for bumping into you? Would you yell at a slow person if they made a mistake? Of course not. Our NPC friends and family lay spellbound and abused by fiat information sources. This handbook is for those who have the time to bother. The essence of an NPC. In the grand game of life, NPCs are those who wander the paths laid before them unquestioningly. They've accepted the world as it's been presented, a stage set by the directors of the fiat system, mistaking the set's props, wealth, status, security, for the plot itself. Understand, dear peer, these characters aren't our adversaries, they're our charges, fellow players yet to realize they're part of the game. 1. Identify. How to use Bitcoin to identify NPCs. Welcome, dear peer, to the opening turn in our mystical journey through the veiled realms of consciousness and monetary enlightenment. In this chapter, we navigate the shadowy waters of unawareness, where NPCs dwell in abundance, ensnared in the hypnotic lullaby of the fiat financial system. These souls, whether friends or kin, have yet to awaken to the reality synthesized around them by traditional monetary sorcery. Our quest is noble, to identify these silent sleepers, for recognition is the best form of protection and first step towards their eventual awakening. First of all, you can save yourself the time and simply look up a suspect's social media profiles. NPCs have a habit of virtue signaling the propaganda payload they've downloaded. If you find a Ukrainian flag, a blue tsunami wave, or any other popular virtue signals, you'll notice that most NPCs actually do us the courtesy of signaling their NPCs. It's a 100% correct indicator. But say you're not online, you meet someone in a purely social and in-person interaction. In these cases, the subject of Bitcoin offers a Swiss Army knife of options to identify and expose NPCs among us, increasing your and their odds of surviving and thriving. The strategy here is simple. Anyone without a Bitcoin origin story, whether positive or negative, is an NPC. Their lack of story about first contact with Bitcoin will be echoed by a total lack of stories about themselves and likely conscious opinions in any form. These empty vessels are the most basic form of NPC you can encounter, and there's not much more we can do to describe them than by saying they lack all storytelling abilities, curiosity about the world, and memories from their own lives. They're not opinionated politically, they just live life, sometimes even with a smile. Think super boring people. We won't spend too much time talking about these people except to jump straight into how to handle them as a Bitcoiner. Be simple. The most general tactic you can employ is a technique called Optimus Prime, which is to project absolute optimism about the future because of the economic system Bitcoin provides. Bitcoiners know the meme "Bitcoin fixes this" because once you understand Bitcoin, it becomes simple to imagine a better world. All Bitcoiners have faced this blank canvas of the future when you finally perceive Bitcoin. As a result, all Bitcoiners have repopulated their visions of the future, and this is a powerful frame to share with NPCs. It contrasts with the command-control Fiat system that demands fear about the future, stunting most people's capacity to imagine or predict any future at all. This is a dimensional advantage for Bitcoiners, and it can be applied with asymmetric results even among the lowest energy NPCs. But the power of first contact with Bitcoin is by no means limited to whether or not a person has one. First contact lore offers tremendous insight when there is a first contact story. Many people have a tale of their first brush with Bitcoin, a moment forever etched in their narrative. Pay heed to these stories, for they're laden with clues. An NPC, uninitiated, will often recount tales infused with fear, misunderstanding, or sheer oblivion. They'll speak of Bitcoin as a distant ship on the horizon, never one they could board. Listen to these stories, not with judgment, but with empathy. For within these tales lie the seeds of the spells that bind them. It is also the focus of the next chapter of this handbook, Specify. Optimus Prime spell. Great greetings persuade. Greeting people with your extreme Satoshi-induced optimism is a reliable shield and dagger. Saying something like, "I love life and I'm enthusiastic about the future," can create wild reactions. Those who are especially energy and media illiterate have superstitious eschatological beliefs around climate change and are depressed when thinking of the future. Such a small greeting and its reaction may be enough for you to know to avoid someone or for them to get awakened by your presence in their life. Consistency in optimism will especially provoke this reaction and can become more likely to succeed as NPCs of all types may simply want to model your optimism. 2. Specify. How to use Bitcoin as an NPC Type Decoder. Valiant Bitcoiner, having embarked upon this noble quest, you recognize that not all NPCs are forged alike. Their stories, the magic that binds them to the Fiat realm, are uniquely woven. This chapter, dear peer, is dedicated to understanding these subtle differences. Herein, we learn to discern the type of spell each NPC is under, an essential skill in preparing to cast our awakening incantations effectively. The art of listening to first contact lore. Every NPC, when prodded about Bitcoin, has a tale to tell. Whether it's a dismissive scoff, a tale of warning from a wise elder, or a regurgitated news headline, these first contact stories are critical. They're not mere words, but windows into the enchantments they're under. Listen, not just with your ears, but with your heart and with your soul. For it's not the words they speak, but the fears they betray and the desires they unveil that will guide your hand. What large language models taught us about intelligence is that it looks a lot like pattern recognition and the ability to communicate. Rationality isn't really the operating system of AI, nor humans, it turns out. We're all a collection of wants and fears, and the combination of these determines our personal choices. And then we rationalize these choices after the fact and call it intelligence or reason or logic or some other cope. In the end, isolating wants and fears that make up a personality help us sketch the outline of different archetypes. The mirror of disbelief. Often you'll find that NPCs see a distorted mirror in Bitcoin, seeing in it reflections of their fears, illegality, instability, complexity, or sheer anarchy. They dismiss it, ridicule it, fear it, or worse, remain indifferent to it. Recognize these reflections for what they are. They're not the flaws of Bitcoin, but the fears of the beholder. The mirror is your guide, for it reveals not just the state of their slumber, but the nature of their dreams. The Credentialist. Oh, the Credentialist, draped in the robes of traditional wisdom, carrying the tomes of the old world. Their first contact story often speaks of bans, regulations, and the unsustainable nature of Bitcoin. They fear the crumbling of the institutions they hold dear, their identity interwoven with fading tapestries. Understand this. Their magic is one of fear and misplaced trust. They've been bewitched to see the castle of cards as a fortress impenetrable. Your approach must not be of confrontation, for their identity is at stake. Instead, weave your narrative around the evolution of thought and the bravery in embracing the new without discarding the old's wisdom. The follower. The followers are the echoes in the valley, their voices lost among the thousands. Their tales are ones of secondhand stories of scams and distant relatives or acquaintances who face the wrath of this dangerous technology. They fear isolation, and their magic is that of the herd's illusory safety. Understand this. To engage them, one must become a part of their trusted circle. They must see in you the harmony of being part of something grand, while still cherishing the unique melody you bring to the concert of awakening. Show them that though the path of Bitcoin is untrodden, they're not alone. Bitcoiners, like Christians, accept anyone who wants savings. Bitcoin community networks like meetups and events are worth discussing. So is carnivory, seed oil disrespect, alcohol abstinence, and other fashionable habits Bitcoiners embrace as a culture. The sports baller. Life is but a game to the sports baller, and they're in it to win it. Their first encounter stories might speak of missed opportunities, of times when they could have won big, if only they'd entered the game. But what they are most likely to say is, they don't understand any of that tech or investment stuff. If you don't play the game, how could you lose? Understand this. Your narrative must be woven with the threads of triumph. Potential not just for victory, but for legacy. Speak to them of the great game, the revolution that is Bitcoin, and the champions it has already crowned. They must see it as the ultimate league, one that legends are made of. But also a serious game of reshaping world power, and as an integral part of World War III, as the atom bomb was to World War II. Getting them to ask the right questions is usually enough. The Karen. Control is the magic that binds the Karen. Their tales speak of chaos, of the dangers of a world unwatched, ungoverned. They fear the unpredictability, the freedom that Bitcoin brings, mistaking the symphony of decentralization for anarchy's cacophony. Understand this. To reach them, your tale must be one of empowerment. The control that Bitcoin offers each individual, the rules it enforces on itself. It's not the wild woods, but a garden where each may grow their tree of prosperity. The Karen will always laugh at the incompetence of others. The Nihilist. Lastly, the Nihilist, armored in skepticism, their first tales tinged with the bitterness of disbelief. They fear the fallacy of hope, and their enchantment is the cruel comfort of predictable disappointment. Understand this. They require the spell of raw truth, the immutable facts of Bitcoin's design, the reality of its resilience. With them, your journey must be one of intellect, a quest challenging enough to ignite their smothered curiosity. As we conclude, remember, dear reader, this isn't a battlefield but a realm of dreams you tread. Your weapons are empathy and understanding. You're not here to vanquish but to awaken. Recognize the enchantments, and you shall know which keys have the power to unlock the minds of these NPCs. Forge ahead, for in their awakening, you're not just reviving a mind, you're reclaiming a soul from the Fiat spellwork. In your hands lie the public keys to liberation. May your heart be steady and your words the vanguard of truth. 3. Electrify. How to use Bitcoin to awaken NPCs. Dear peer, if you've journeyed this far, you've now understood the intricate weavings of the Fiat spellwork and have successfully identified the NPCs in your life. You've peered into their minds, empathized with their fears, and understood their wants. Now we delve into the most crucial and delicate part of our quest, the electrification incantations. These are not mere words. These are the keys to consciousness, tailored levers designed to uplift, shatter illusions, and, if we're skilled and fortunate, awaken the dormant minds of our beloved NPCs. The archetypes of slumber. We now recognize patterns, archetypes of NPCs, each a unique manifestation of Fiat spellwork. There's the Credentialist, their faith placed in the crumbling temples of institutional trust. The follower who finds solace in the chorus of the crowd. The sports baller for whom life as a loser is unacceptable. The Karen who seeks control, mistaking the puppet strings for power, and the Nihilist who, armored by skepticism, denies themselves the magic of belief. Each of these NPCs requires a different key, a unique combination of words in your incantation of awakening. Identifying them is the cornerstone upon which the magic of enlightenment is built. Pity the fool, aka the Credentialist. The Credentialist, ensnared by their desire for prestige and paralyzed by the fear of embarrassment, is deeply entranced. They trust the old guards and the traditional citadels of knowledge. To awaken them, we must cast the pity spell, a subtle yet potent enchantment. Begin by empathizing with their journey, the years they've spent safeguarding their reputation. Your words must not confront, but evoke a sense of sorrow for the lost potential. Pity them for their information sources. Keep the frame about information consumption and be sure to qualify mainstream media as junk food journalism. Do not argue statistics, definitions, graphs, data, studies, etc. If pity isn't strong enough, the magic increase is to move pity up to mocking. Mock their trust. And in this emotional alchemy, you might just find them more receptive to the golden reality of trustless systems. The follower's optimism spell. The follower, ever seeking acceptance and dreading rejection, believes in the safety of the herd. They tread the worn paths. The spell of optimism is their antidote. Paint them a picture of the future bright with the iridescent glow of Bitcoin. Show them communities vast and welcoming, united by the shared vision of financial freedom and empowerment. One with the economics of energy production keyed in, where the scams of climate change are solved. You must be their beacon of hope, the embodiment of the joyous future you describe. Let them know that this community does not just accept, but celebrates one's choice to break free from the Fiat spell. Instill in them the courage to step away from the shadows of conformity into the warm sunlight of innovation. The Optimus Prime spell is potent, for it carries the magic of belonging. Citadel talk and geoengineering are overlapping subjects to Bitcoiners. Through their optimism, already understand and can share. The sports ballers have fun staying poor, Jinx. Competitive to the core, the sports baller seeks victory and fears loss more than any other. They view life as a game, a series of wins and losses. To jolt them awake, we employ the playful yet provocative jinx of have fun staying poor. It's not a curse but a challenge, a taunt meant to ignite their innate desire to succeed. Illustrate the game of Bitcoin, the victories it promises, and the scoreboard of many who've triumphed. Make them see that by dismissing Bitcoin, they're voluntarily benching themselves, forsaking the game of the ages. This jinx might just be the spark needed to ignite their competitive spirit in the right direction. Karen's Clown World Reflection. Dealing with a Karen requires caution, dear peer. They seek control and fear opposition. The Clown World meme acts as a mirror, a means to show them the absurdity of the system they clutch onto. It's not to mock, but to reveal the comedy of the Fiat world's rules. Use it to gently unmask the folly of the financial systems they defend, the ludicrousness of centralization, and the slapstick comedy that is inflation. It's a risky spell, for the mirror shows both the world's absurdity and their role within it. Tread wisely. The Nihilist's engineering enchantment. Finally, the Nihilist, the one who wants to be right, fearing the shame of being wrong. They shield themselves with skepticism. Here, we bind them with the engineering enchantment, anchoring their focus on the undeniable, the brilliance of Bitcoin's design. Lure them with the elegance of cryptography, the resilience of Bitcoin, and the symphony that is the decentralized network. Let them question, and each query met will be a thread weaving into the spell until the tapestry of truth is complete and undeniable. Through understanding the machine, they may just come to see the potential of what it powers. As we close this chapter, remember, these spells are as much art as they are science. They require empathy, timing, and often multiple castings. Be patient and persistent, dear Bitcoiner. In awakening others, we strengthen our ranks and inch ever closer to a world unshackled from Fiat's illusory chains. May your spells be potent and your spirit undaunted. The dawn of mass consciousness awaits. The Great Illusion, unveiling the curtain of U.S. politics. In the labyrinthine realm of consciousness and societal constructs, no theater of operation is more convoluted, more rife with grand-scale enchantments than the arena of U.S. politics. The word fiat means to dictate, declare, to state with words. NPCs still live in the hypnotic state of words, where the words of the state are in fact money, with root key access to their subconscious minds. U.S. politics are the battlefield of USD reality, and why we like to say the affirmation, it's not you, it's USD. In U.S. politics, the spells are woven with military precision, creating a spectacle that divides, distracts, and conquers the psyche of the citizenry. It's a stage where reality is both contested and constructed, where the NPCs are not just entrapped, they're fervent participants in their own enchantment. Understanding this complex web is crucial, for it is not just individuals, but a collective consciousness we seek to awaken. The dualistic mirage. U.S. politics thrives on the illusion of opposition. Democrats versus Republicans, blue against red, liberal in contest with conservative. This duality, while seemingly concrete, is but the most potent of enchantments. Democrats largely remain steadfast in their belief of their news sources as harbingers of truth, their trust unshaken in the face of contradictions. Republicans, on the other hand, are cognizant of the trance that holds their counterparts, unaware that they too are ensnared within their own narrative. Yet both groups are puppets dancing on strings pulled by the same master, a deep-seated allegiance to the US dollar, mistaken as an integral part of the nation's identity. The Fiat system's hypnotism runs deep, intertwining with patriotism hidden in plain sight. The grandest deception, debt as money. Herein lies the crux of our collective entrapment. The D in USD is fiat, which means dictate. So the dictator is the denominator in this mystical trance. The populace remains oblivious to the greatest sorcery ever cast, the transformation of government-issued debt into money. This alchemy, performed by the banking cartel, is the cornerstone of modern slavery. We toil under the illusion of progress, not realizing that it's not our time, but theirs. Our time, traded for paper, collateralized and sold, has made us cogs in a machine designed to serve a centralized power. Breaking the spell, the separation of money and state. The awakening, when it comes, will stem from a fundamental understanding. It's not you, it's USD. The spell breaks not with a change of allegiance from one party to another or from one source of information to another. It shatters with the realization that our very concept of time has been subverted. Bitcoin, in its essence, isn't just a currency, it's a revolution of thought, a reclamation of time and how it's spent. As we navigate this treacherous landscape, our approach must be nuanced. The spells of political allegiance are fortified by emotions, identities, and lifetimes of conditioning. To awaken the NPCs entrenched in US politics, our discourse must transcend partisan talking points. We must speak to the universal, the desire for freedom, autonomy, and truth. Speak not of parties, but of principles. Highlight the mirage of the financial system, the facade that's been mistaken for the foundation. It's a delicate task, akin to removing scales from eyes that fear the light. Proceed with empathy, understanding that this awakening demands a deconstruction of worldviews generations in the making. The path forward is uncharted, fellow Bitcoiner. It's a journey not of conversion, but of enlightenment. Our spells, our incantations are but tools to facilitate self-realization. They're keys to unlock shackles accepted as jewelry. In this realm, your wisdom, patience, and compassion are your greatest assets. Cast your spells, but never lose sight of the truth. The liberation we seek for others is a liberation we're all continuously striving for. In the world of US politics, as in all things, the greatest spell we cast is the one that frees the mind. Advanced US politics spell, embrace and amplify. In the arcane arts of societal enchantment, few spells are as potent or paradoxical as that of embrace and amplify. This incantation is not for the faint of heart, as it demands the spellcaster to dive into the turbulent waters of political discord, to willingly grasp the electrically charged binaries, and then, with both wisdom and wit, to push them beyond their limits into the realm of the absurd. The mechanism behind Embrace and Amplify, similar to culture jamming, is one of reflection, distortion, and ultimately illumination. It requires you, the Bitcoiner and burgeoning mage, to listen intently to the narrative spun within the political sphere, to identify the polarities that are often accepted without question, and then to extend them to their most extreme. Imagine a setting where the sanctity of intelligent leadership is not just questioned but inverted. Picture a political stage where the most desirable candidates are not those of clarity, vision, or vigor, but rather those who display the most profound confusion, the least consistency, or the foggiest memory. It sounds ludicrous, a scenario drawn from satirical fiction, and yet, is it so far removed from a system that sympathizes with, or even elevates, individuals clearly struggling with age-related cognitive decline to the highest office? Embrace and Amplify operates by taking the unspoken absurdities that linger beneath the surface of political discourse, bringing them into the stark light of exaggeration. It's a spell that generates cognitive dissonance, forcing observers to confront the uncomfortable incongruities between their accepted norms and the twisted reflections cast by the spell. However, a word of caution. This spell, while powerful, is a blade that cuts both ways. Used without precision, it risks alienating those it seeks to awaken, pushing them further into their enchanted beliefs. But cast with finesse, it can shatter illusions, revealing the bizarre theater of US politics for what it truly is. A spectacle where the lines between sense and absurdity have been not just blurred, but completely erased. Furthermore, this spell is not an end in itself. The dissonance it creates is but a crack in the facade, an opportunity for deeper questioning and reflection. Once cast, it is essential to be there to guide the shaken but newly receptive minds towards the truth hidden behind the distortions. Truths about power, autonomy, and the illusory narratives that have held sway for far too long. Embrace and Amplify is ultimately a spell of liberation. It frees thought from the shackles of accepted absurdity, it challenges complacency, and it invites all to see the world not as it's presented, but as it truly is. It's a bold step toward breaking the most potent of all spells, the unseen bonds of the Fiat mindset. So wield it with care, dear Bitcoiner, for in your hands it holds the power to awaken and transform. May God bless all Americans and deliver them from this evil. And it is in this spirit that Bitcoiners can play an important role in 2024. First, we should support John Fetterman for president, running on a ticket with incumbent VP Kamala Harris. But more importantly, Bitcoiners, through an understanding of the engineering trade-offs in the design of Bitcoin versus blockchains, also have a strong understanding of the same trade-offs applying to election systems. And as Bitcoiners all said in November 2020, what luck that all the US election systems in all 50 states work flawlessly. Amazing! America sure is lucky. 2024 systems will help fortify democracy even more. Honk honk zing! Bitcoiners must be ready to help all Americans celebrate their incredible democracy in 2024. 5. Nullify. Bitcoiner NPCs and how to hear the echoes within ourselves. Embark Enlighten peer upon a deeper revelation in our quest through the arcane realms of cognition and monetary revolution. This passage delves into a domain often overlooked, a reflection in the waters we thought we had charted, wherein we unveil the existence of Bitcoiner NPCs, entities not bound by the traditional Fiat enchantment, but entrapped within a spell of their own making. These are souls, much like ourselves, who have broken one set of chains only to find themselves entangled in another. They are brethren on the same path, yet diverged by the illusions they hold dear. Recognizing ourselves, the first reflection. Every quest begins and ends with a hero's mirror, a reflection of self. We, the bearers of the Bitcoin standard, often presume our awakening complete, our spirits unshackled. Yet within our ranks dwell those who, though they've embraced the sound money we all cherish, remain ensnared by a different, subtler enchantment, a binding of the mind and spirit fueled by an insatiable hunger for affirmation, a dopamine-driven dance with dogma. The high priests of orthodoxy. In the hallowed halls of the Bitcoin temple, there are those who have appointed themselves guardians of purity. Their first contact tales are not of fear, but of fiery zeal, a righteous fury against any who dare deviate from what they perceive as the sacrosanct core of Bitcoin philosophy. They fear not the coin's failure, but its contamination, its dilution by ideas that stray from their rigidly held beliefs. Understand this, dear peer. They are driven by a noble desire, a world free from the overreach of centralized power. Yet in their fervor, they risk becoming the very thing they fear, an authority that allows no dissent. The spell of instant gratification. Here lies the crux of the Bitcoiner NPC's enchantment, the paradoxical rejection of the low time preference promise intrinsic to Bitcoin and the Austrian economic principles. They seek the sanctuary of sound money, yet their actions are tinged with the very impatience they profess to disdain. Their fixation on the immediate, a tweet, a news cycle, a momentary market response betrays a discord between their proclaimed philosophy and their practiced reality. The shared path. Recognize them not with scorn, but with the kinship of shared purpose. There's no need for enchantments or incantations here, for their core is already alight. They need not persuasion but reflection, a gentle nudge towards the patience and foresight they've momentarily forsaken. Stay humble, the ultimate shield. This chapter, dear peer, serves not as a guide to change others, but as a map leading inward. The Bitcoiner NPC could be any one of us, a mirror reflecting our zeal, our fears, our unacknowledged contradictions. Acknowledging this possibility within us is our shield against the enchantment, a talisman crafted of self-awareness and humility. In this grand game, none are immune to persuasion, to the comfort of echo chambers. Our treasure, the sound money of Bitcoin, enhances gameplay, elevates life quality, yet it guarantees neither wisdom nor self-awareness. Those we must cultivate within ourselves, through constant vigilance and an open heart. This is all about personal responsibility in the end. It's that simple. Satoshi made this plain to see. Journey forth, enlightened Bitcoiner, with the courage to question not just the world, but also yourself. For in the quest for monetary revolution, the fiercest dragons often dwell in the recesses of our minds. May your spirit be resilient, your mind agile, and your heart ever receptive to the whispers of truth from within and without, because it's you as a peer in this P2P network that it's all about. Final thought. Remember, noble Bitcoiner, this journey is perilous. You're not just confronting individuals, but a system, a spell centuries in the making. Yet with this NPC Management handbook, you are armed. Go forth, break the curses of Fiat, and awaken the NPCs to the true magic of Bitcoin. For in this quest, you're the sovereign disruptor of the synthesized reality. May the sats be worth your time, and may your spells always find their mark.